Hello, my friends, and welcome back for another episode of Shuga Says Let's Talk Live. And let's talk we will. This has been a full-fledged week full of all kind of festive things. And you know I love to talk about them with my wonderful co-host, yes, Mr. Tyler Price. And we have some fantastic guests on today's show. We have two artists that I'm sure you know and you can't wait to learn more about. And stay tuned within the hour, you will. So, I want to start off by spreading love and joy, and of course, giving a reminder out as today is 9/11. If you can believe it, those towers fell in New York City 19 years ago. I cannot even believe it has been 19 years ago since that happened. But even though it's been 19 years, the thought of it, the memory is still not an easy thing to go through. So I send prayers of love and comfort out to the families that lost someone that day, and to the people that, maybe are not familiar. Maybe you didn't go through it yourself, or you weren't there, you have no one connected to it. We are all connected to it, because any tragedy is something that we all never want to go through, and we have to remember so that we can empathize and be one, and making sure those negative things don't happen again. So spread love, spread positive energy, and in spreading positive energies, let's just get things on. Get ready for my co-host, the guy with the mostest, the giggles for everything, Mr. Tyler Price. Come on into the stream.
Hello. It's good to be
Yes,
back.
yes, indeed. So good to see you. I tell you, I look forward to seeing you every single week. We
Likewise,
always have
yes.
so many things to talk about. Can you believe that we've been doing this since the end of June?
It's crazy. Like, it's just like every Friday, here we are, giving the
I
people what they
know.
want to see, giving some entertainment and some
Exactly.
Friday joy and jubilation.
And
Okay.
you know how I feel about joy and jubilation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, how are you doing? Give us an update on your theatrical educator journey.
Okay, well, you know what? This has been a crazy week. Okay,
Do tell.
I just returned to school, Alexandria Senior High School, after we've been gone for about 2 weeks because of
Oh.
Hurricane Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Hurricane Laura affected my already broken auditorium.
Oh my.
It messed with the auditorium a little bit. Some water got in there. So some things started to build. So they need to do a deep clean before I can have my classes in there again.
Oh my.
So I have been teaching in the cafeteria, but thank God this is one of those 5A schools with a huge cafeteria and so
Okay.
much room. I mean, they hold their dances in there. Okay. So I have
Okay.
space.
Yes.
So I've been doing my class in the cafeteria for the past 2 days, and the students have been loving it. We've been having so much fun. The
Yes.
faculty has been peaking and having a little, they've been experiencing a little joy and jubilation with my class and our improv
Good.
games. My focus this week was getting the kids to just really like get back into the flow of school and have some fun. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to stress them. We were supposed to start some dramatic scenes. That was our next in our curriculum. But with this hurricane, I was like, no, we're going to do some improv. We're just going to have fun. Okay. Here in this
Yes.
theater class this week. I did have some goops and gags this week, okay?
Oh,
In one of
do
our
tell.
improv games, you know how they say kids say the darnest things? They should really
They
say
do.
high school kids say the
Oh, they say
darnest
the
things,
best. They say the best things.
because I gave this lecture in one of my classes. I was like, you know what? I already see y'all in the hallways and I see how big and obnoxious you are. So when we're playing these improv games, I need you to play bigger characters. You're playing characters that are meek and just, mumbling, and I don't need that. And one of
Right.
my students decided to take that a little bit too far.
Okay.
We were playing this game called Taxi Cab, where you come in as a character and everybody else incorporates that character into their own character and so on and so forth. This young lady said, knock, knock, knock. I'm a hot girl. I do hot.
Okay.
And I was like, wait. No.
Too
Because
explicit for
me,
class.
I'm young, so I knew where that was going. Okay, other teachers might have been like, oh, what is this? She's a rapper. Oh, she's freestyling. No, that's Meg the Stallion Girls in the Hood, and I'm not having you rap that in my class. No, no, no. I just
Not
got this
today.
job and I need to keep
Ex-
it.
Must keep it,
So I
especially
was
through
like,
Corona.
yes. So I was like, no, 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 not Megan Thee Stallion. So that was one of my little funny moments this week. It really made my whole day. I was so happy she did it and had to shut it down at the same time. And
They will keep you on
also,
your toes.
yes, also I secured the rights to our spring musical. I can't announce it
Ooh.
yet because I want to get the venue.
Ah,
Well, I want to get the venue together
yes.
before we announce it, because I announce things with the full. I want the full effect. Okay, full
Yes.
poster, auditions,
Yes. Full
everything.
festivity,
I don't want to
everything. Yes.
announce it and then you don't see the
Right.
poster for 2 more weeks,
Right. It's not
So I need
good.
to figure out some things with the venue, but I got the rights to the spring musical,
Ooh.
and I looked at the price and I was like, woo,
Do
that's
tell.
some money.
I saw you put up a post this week that
Oh
you
yes.
said, "Okay, hold on. I'm learned this week how much putting on a musical really
Oh yes,
costs."
because I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, so I have to pay for the rights. I have to pay for the people
Hmm.
to help me put on this musical. I have to pay for the set pieces, the set design, all of
Yes.
these things, the rental of the space. And I was like, this is
Them
expensive.
calculations.
Now,
Yes.
thank God we have the budget for it.
Come on now.
But I just, I want this first musical to be a big hit, but
Hmm.
I don't want it to take too big of a hit on our bank account. So
Right. Right.
I'm happy that we have the money to put on the musical and the kids deserve this musical, but I'm thinking of creative ways for us to get more ticket sales. So
Yes. Yes.
that's what I'm thinking about right now. But oh my goodness, putting on musicals
It
is
never stops. I will say
expensive.
from an artist's perspective, getting the knowledge in front of the curtain and behind
Oh
the curtain,
yeah.
or if you're film in front of the camera and behind the camera, changes your whole perspective. All
Oh
of a sudden,
yeah.
I have empathy for the creative team, for the
Oh
creative
yeah.
process, and it makes you truly understand all of the components it takes
That go into
to
your
make
art
a show.
form.
Yes, yes, indeed. And it is
I'm
not
so
pennies.
thankful. I love it.
Well, I look forward to you telling us what the spring musical is. I am
Yes.
overjoyed. Are you able to give us a little hint or a no hint?
I can give you a hint. It's
Okay.
based on a popular movie. And it involves a lot of dancing, and that's all I
Oh,
can give. Okay.
oh, okay, okay. It could be so many different
It
things,
could
but
be.
all the ideas sound so excited in my brain. Do you think you can tell us next week, or do we have to wait for like 2 weeks to hear?
Hopefully, I can tell you next week. Hopefully, I'm hoping that going into phase 3 in Alexandria, the Performing Arts Center opens up again, and I can get into their office and talk to them and look at their space and make sure it's right for the musical. And then I will give you the full rollout.
Woo!
Okay. So
Yes.
hopefully next week. I'd love it. I love it so much. I wish it was this week, but
Perfect.
hopefully next week.
That's okay. We can wait. So, all the viewers, give me
Yes.
some hearts, emojis out there as we wait for this
Yes.
amazing information. I know it's going to be so exciting. And you know
Oh,
how
yes.
much I like excitement. Speaking of excitement, football is back.
Yes. Finally.
Everybody
Oh, we
is
need it.
so
We deserve it.
excited. So, the football season kicked off yesterday with new social distance protocol. Okay, it was with Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans. All right. And the Kansas City Chiefs won 34-20. There was limited people that can come. I don't want to give out fake numbers, but I feel like it might have been 1,300 in the stadium around that. And everybody was in a social distance manner. They had to wear masks on. So it was different. I love that there was moments of unity in the beginning before the actual game started. I love seeing that. It's good to know that number one, the athletes have taken an invested interest in all that is happening with the continued fight for racial equality. Because when Colin Kaepernick was trying to tell us what was still going down, people were like, I can't kneel down with him. I can't lose my
Hmm.
endorsements. Well, I'm glad that they're seeing that it's more than just your endorsements, because when you're out in the streets, outside of the stadium, you're just like everybody else. So I
Yes.
love that. And I love that they are taking hold of their power and they're making a stand. So kudos to them,
Hmm.
and keep it going. Okay, so we had Alicia Keys who performed for the night. and she did her No One classic hit from 2007, as well as a new song from her newest album. And she also appeared in a video that was narrated by actor Anthony Mackie, where she sang the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. And in addition to performing, she has also partnered with the NFL to launch a $1 billion endorsement aimed at supporting Black businesses and Black communities. Come on, come on, come on. That's a win, win, win for everybody. And you know
Yes.
what? I tell you, with all of these movements going on, I mean, there are so many connections going on in front and behind the camera to open up opportunities for all people of color. And dare I say it, I think that there may be some real changes going on. I think that there's a wave happening, a new
Yeah.
wave of racial equality happening in the country. And although we have not arrived yet, okay, I do feel and I hear Sam Cooke echoing to us yet again that a change is going to come, but it does
Hmm.
require a lot of work. And not everybody is for that. I know you
Yes.
posted up something about Chloe and Halle performing yesterday. Can you tell us
Yes.
about that?
Well, my biggest thing is I have been so happy. I remember it was probably about a year ago, or maybe a year and a half ago, it was announced that Jay-Z's Rock Nation
Mm-hmm.
developed a partnership with the NFL to run the entertainment division.
Yes.
And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of Black people were shook because they were still upset about Colin Kaepernick, which is
Mm-hmm.
understandable. But what
Mm-hmm.
I know about Jay-Z and Beyonce and that family and why they stuck together through all of this stuff they've gone through is that they have the same mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay-Z had a plan because he too was a critic of the NFL. And he had
Mm-hmm.
a plan going into this. He was like, you know what? The NFL is going nowhere. So I can either take a seat at the table or I can criticize from the sidelines. But you know what? It'll be more beneficial for my people if I get a seat at the table, because then I can make change from within.
Right.
Who would think that the same NFL who was criticizing and and ruined Colin Kaepernick's football career, even though he has had a successful career since football, ruined his career that was his one true passion. The same NFL that did that, here we are, 4 years later, and you have two young female Black performers performing the national anthem, the one that people wanted by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Them performing that with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor
On their
t-shirts,
shirts. Yeah.
performing that.
Yes.
That is Jay-Z. That is Rock Nation. They are working. We had two Latinas performing at the
For the Super
last
Bowl.
Super Bowl
Mm-hmm.
halftime show, which is arguably one of the best halftime shows of all time, up there
One
with
of them.
Michael
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes,
Which,
it was.
look, and that's a lot for me to say because I love Beyonce, but I'm saying
Yes.
Shakira and
Yes.
J-Lo, they put
She
it
did.
down.
They did. They
And
did.
I just have to say that it is so encouraging. I know a lot of people, are mad and they want to stay mad, but that's not the way this works. Okay.
Right.
You have to want change. Okay.
Right.
We can be
And
mad
work
that
towards
change
it.
isn't coming, but you have to want it. And
Mhm.
the NFL is doing what it has to do to create
Now,
this change.
now you said that some people were booing while the ladies were
Okay.
singing the
So this is
national
what
anthem.
happened. So it wasn't so they didn't sing the national anthem live in the stadium because of COVID
Mm-hmm.
regulations.
Mm-hmm.
But when the moment of silence happened for the Black lives that we've lost, there were people in the stadium, and people told me that at the broadcast they tried to mute some of the players' mics so you wouldn't hear it. But there were people who were booing in the auditorium for that moment of
Interesting.
silence for the Black lives that we lost. And for me, I just think that's unpatriotic. Look, I have friends on all sides of the spectrum, and I love all of them. I know that's controversial to say, especially to my liberal friends, because they don't really understand it. But I know these people. You know what I mean? I know these conservatives. I'm from these towns, Well, I'm from New Orleans, but I went to school in Natchitoches, and I spent half my career performing in towns that are, country towns. So these are the people that I know. And I know these people, you know what I mean? So some of the things that they say, I let slide because they just don't get it. And that's
Right.
fine. That's fine, because you know what? My politicians should make you get it. So I'm mad at them more than I'm mad at you. That's another
Right.
story for another Sugar Says. But what I didn't appreciate was the booing of that moment, because regardless of what you believe about, you know, the police and defunding them and abolishing them and all of that stuff that the media has twisted with the Marcus and all of this stuff and the rioters, the looters, everything, all these people, all the trash that you're being filled with. Like, regardless of how you believe about that, people died. And for you to boo at a moment of silence for
Right.
fellow American citizens whose ancestors helped build this country would not be what it is without people that look like me and you and I. For you to boo for those lives that were lost, for an entire community that's grieving over those lives, you are not patriotic. You are not promoting Christianity. That's cruelty. And it's
Or
also
just
pathetic. So
right, right, right.
and you know what? It didn't upset me as much as it made me feel bad for them. They were in my prayers last night because I was like, racists are the most terrified people in this country right now.
It's
Black
true.
people aren't scared. We're out there in the
Mhm.
streets. Okay, we aren't
We are.
scared. It's
And
the
whether or
racists
not
that
they
are
like
scared.
it, they are. A
Yeah.
change is
And they're
coming.
upset because America's becoming the thing that it's always been meant to be. And they're mad. And the white people who aren't racist, who are just falling into the media's trap, I'm not talking about you, okay? You're being fed all this stuff. And I understand why you don't trust liberal media. I'm talking about the true racists, okay? The ones that don't like us, okay? That's who I'm talking about. And that's my spiel on that,
Well,
okay?
that's all right. That's what Tyler has to say about that.
Yes.
And to everyone that maybe should, they're going to have to keep on shaking in the corner because this is yet the beginning of another
Yes.
wave. And they just going to be where
Yes.
they at. But in the meantime, we'll be enjoying all what football has to offer. This is what
Absolutely.
people have been looking forward to. This is the joy and
Yes.
jubilation that we need. And as long as everybody stays safe, wear their mask, and keep a social distance, we can enjoy sports yet again.
All right now.
Hallelujah. 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 Now, speaking of other good things happening in this world, we are getting ready to introduce our very first guest here
All right
on
now.
Sugar Says Now. Tyler and I have had the wonderful
Yes, we
opportunity to
have.
work with this fine gentleman, this fine actor, this writer, this director. Okay. He directed us in Thoroughly Modern Millie, which was spectacular. And
Yes.
I had a grand time. We've seen him perform and we just like truly, truly, truly enjoy him. So this is quite a joy and an honor for him to be on Sugar Says and for us to introduce you to him.
Yes.
So without further ado, everybody, wherever you are, just clap it up for Doctor. And I did not know he was Doctor Dennis
Come on,
Elkins, actor,
doctor.
writer, director. Hey, come on
Hello. All
in.
right now. Yes.
Hey, my dear friends.
Yes, indeed.
Hello.
So happy to see
Ah,
your face.
it's so fun to watch you two just work. It's like, such the energy. It is untamed.
Yes, come on, Untamed. We like that word.
Yes, absolutely.
It's
Oh
fantastic.
my goodness. So
Thank
how
you for
are
letting
you
me be
doing?
here.
Of
Oh,
course,
I'm,
it is our
oh,
pleasure.
I try to keep up with you the best I can when I
Thank you.
can. So you are in my heart always. Just know that.
Yes, we love that. Well, we've been
Um,
trying to keep up with you through the midst of all what is going on in
yeah.
Corona. You have a lot percolating over in that side. Please let us know all of the tea. We love it. Let's talk.
well, I got a job, an acting gig in Nashville back in March, and I was going to be
Okay.
doing Mary Poppins for
All
the
right.
Nashville rep. And all was going so swimmingly. And then
Corona.
2 weeks in, not even 2 weeks into rehearsal, we had to close shop and postpone, hoping that maybe we could come back a little later, maybe in the summer. Right now, it's still on the books somehow, somewhere. Anyway,
That's
and of course,
everybody.
in March, That was when it was just getting so scary, especially in New York, that I was very reluctant to return to New York. And fortunately, where I was staying in Nashville, the place where I was staying, the in the studio apartment in this big old house, the woman who owned it, she says, "You're not leaving. You're staying right here. It's safer. Just stay where you are, and you can stay as long as you want, or as long as you need." So I found myself stuck in Nashville for like 6 weeks.
Ah, that is that place. I actually like Nashville.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Mhm.
I mean, I learned a lot more about Nashville
Yes,
than I ever
so
dreamed
many things.
I would need to.
I understand that sentiment.
It was great. It was great. And the
Mhm.
people were wonderful. They really were.
Well, that's lovely. So you've been good and safe, and that's amazing.
I've
Also,
been
what is
trying to,
amazing,
yeah, hide away from COVID as much as I can.
please
Yes.
do keep yourself safe because it is still out there in the streets lurking, and I want people to still be aware it is out there.
Totally.
Corona plays no games. But while hiding from Corona, you still have had a few little projects that you have had going on. So please let us know about that.
Well, I'm in the middle of creating um, a, a trilogy of one-man shows. The
Mhm.
first one
Ooh, trilogy.
is Box Period, and I think Tyler saw it.
Oh yes. Oh yes. I
Yes,
saw
yeah,
it.
yeah, okay. So I did that in Pagosa Springs, but I had one show, Box, and I performed it also last summer at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in
Mm,
Scotland.
yes.
So I had another one that I was preparing called Bag, and that was going to go to Edinburgh this summer, but of course that was canceled.
Corona.
Yep. And so in the spring, while I was in Nashville, I rehearsed this second show. Um, so I had this little theater all to myself. There was nobody there because everything was shut down. So I've been working on this second show. Um, and part of the Edinburgh Festival actually created a digital festival.
Mm.
So I took part of my show and filmed.
Oh, we lost him. Is he there?
Maybe he'll be back. You
Oh
just
my.
pause for a second, Dennis.
Okay, there you go.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
There
There
you
you
go.
Sorry.
We
All
lost
right.
you at filmed. We lost you
Yes,
at
you said
filmed.
right.
And then I submitted it to the online at the Space UK uh, festival this summer in Edinburgh. So I still got to perform there long distance. So
Right. Which is lovely. Which is lovely. Now, with this new integration of film with theater, number one, what have been the positives you've experienced, and what has been the challenges you've experienced?
I am not. I don't have any training in film, and so I kind of started it just to have a record of what I was doing because who knew when I'd perform for a live audience ever again. So
Mm-hmm.
what I did in the process was I learned a lot about editing
Hmm.
and learned a lot about just acting for the camera just just by watching my phone. So it
Yes.
was
That is
crazy.
That's
the
using your
best way.
resources.
Yes,
That
yes,
was it was strange, but
it is.
I learned a lot. I can't say that I'm anywhere near an expert. I am simply dangerous at this point.
Dennis, so I remember working with you. I actually worked with you on one of your original pieces, one of your renditions of A Christmas Carol. And
Yeah.
I will tell you, it was very interesting um, to work with you on something that you wrote yourself. And then to see you in something that not only did you write yourself, but you wrote about yourself. And I remember as an actor, because I'm like one of those like annoying, nerdy actors who like when I see somebody bare their soul on stage, I love them forever. You know what I mean? Like Bernadette Peters, like I will talk about her in Sunday in the Park with George forever because I'm
Right.
like, you went through this. You're an artist. You know what this is. You went through
Yeah.
this. And I see it in your eyes. And when you shared that story, I mean, I still think about it to this day because it's one of the most inspiring pieces, which is why it's had this longevity and consistency. Not every piece of art can say that. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
But it's had this consistency. But there's this thing about you when you're on stage, naturally. I knew all of these things were going to be great because there's this thing about you when you're on stage. You are so authentic, even when you were playing Edna Turnblad, who is not Dennis Elkins. You were so authentic with it. And it made me want to go back and look at your repertoire. That's when you know you've met a good actor, when you want to go back and be like, oh, this is what you
What did
played.
they do?
Do you have a
Right.
bootleg? Like, can I
Right.
see this? Can I see you play it
Exactly.
again? When will you play this again? What I want to ask you is it ever hard or scary to share this much of yourself with a bunch of strangers?
Yes.
You know, like when you perform box in front of people that you've never met, like how does that feel? What type of adrenaline that is that? It has to be a different type of adrenaline than performing as Edna Turnblad, you know?
Oh,
So I really want to know how that feels because like I've never done that. Okay, I've never been that vulnerable on stage.
yeah, it goes to, as you can imagine, it always goes to a very vulnerable place. And of course, I can't always go there in front of people. That's part of the actor's job, is to act it. You don't have to live it over and over and over again. You know what it's supposed to do, and you know how that is supposed to get over and across to your audience. So I'm always protective, yes, but I can tell you that it's even then it's still a very it takes a lot of energy to make all of that happen. So it's one of the most exhausting shows I think I've ever. I mean, when I'm done,
Yeah.
I know I've done, and it's only a 60-minute show, and it feels
yeah,
like.
but you doing a lot with the box. Okay.
And by
right.
yourself. There's nobody else on
Look.
the stage but you.
Oh, there's no saving.
Yes.
I mean, the box doesn't speak up much.
Doesn't
Yes.
speak.
Look,
Well, my
I'm over
question
here
is
taking notes. Oh, sorry. But
No, no.
I'm over here taking notes because I really love what you just said about, see, ever since I became an educator, which was like a month ago, I've been
Yeah.
taking notes every time somebody says something that inspires me because I'm like, I'm going to feed that
That's
to my students. And what you
Yes.
just said was you have to be protective. Oof. Writing
So
that down.
important.
Yes. Had to write
So
that down.
important. Piggybacking off of what Tyler just said, how do you communicate that same type of energy and vulnerability through the film camera and still keep it just as enriching and
Ooh.
authentic
Yes.
as we experience on the stage? Now, I know it's two different dynamics, but what has been your experience so far?
Trying to attain and maintain that sense of honesty with the camera, and that's something that, yes, I am constantly learning, and that's what I find I thrive on learning, as you can probably tell. But
Yeah.
getting to that point where you can the honesty through the camera to whoever's on the other side. And because I don't have that experience, I don't have the words for it, but I could tell as I'm doing it and watching it how important that was to somehow make that translate through the camera lens. That's probably the best thing I learned this summer.
Do you have any tricks? Like, are you envisioning somebody else watching?
That's a good question. I was rehearsing in this little black box theater for 5 weeks or so, and there was just these chairs that became my friends, just empty chairs, and I think still imagining that there was someone I was actually talking to on the other side, like we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Did we lose him? He's froze again.
He's coming back. He's gonna come back. I believe in it.
Oh, here he is.
There you go. There you go.
So sometimes you freeze, but
sometimes. Here we go. All
somebody.
puns intended.
But you're always talking to somebody. Wow. Oh my goodness. Dennis, I'm over here taking notes. I'm like, here I am taking a master class on the show that I'm supposed to be co-hosting. I'm like,
Come on,
okay.
Shuga Says. It's all about learning. It's all about learning.
I love it. Oh my goodness, I love it so much.
Thank you.
Ty, do you have a question for Dennis right now, or should I keep on going?
You can keep going because I'm over here
good.
just filling up the notebook.
Okay, good. Well, I love it. My next question for you is: what has been the most challenging? The most challenging thing you've had to deal with during this time of the corona pandemic as an artist off the stage?
Trying to keep from getting angry because I can't do my job. I keep, take a deep breath. Okay, if I can't do what I was trained to do or what I love, my heart is doing, what's the next best thing I can do? And there is always that creative spirit that I just keep dipping into. Okay, what's my next project? I can't stop because if I stop, I just get angrier and feel less in control. But if I've got a project, I know I just get projects and projects and projects. But I have like 5 projects I'm working on right now. Every one is so different from the last one, but that's what's keeping me motivated.
Yes. Now,
I totally get that.
Yes, Dennis, I have one more question for you, and it's an advice question. There's a lot of young artists right now who are confused. This is the first big thing that they've had to go through where it's like, this is a hardship that I'm facing with this career. And that's from the people who got the BFA at the University of Michigan to the people who have been at the quote unquote smaller universities. Okay, this is the first hurdle that everyone's had to face together.
Coming out of school.
Coming out of school. What advice, because I know you taught at a college for years. What advice do you have to young people right now, young performers, young artists, who are struggling with this entire COVID-19 pandemic situation?
Find something to pay the bills.
Yes. Get your coins. We've been trying to tell people that for weeks.
I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But don't let it grind your creativity. When the opportunity comes back to perform, well, it's never left us. It's never going to leave. We're going to find ways to tell stories, right? That's what we do. So it's a matter of finding a way to tell a story. You just keep thinking, or not just thinking, actively make something happen, even on your own, however that has to be. But this is the time to get your material together.
Yes.
Whatever you need to do. This is not a time to just sit on your butt and wait.
Yes. Oof. Yes, I am
For sure. For
writing,
sure.
y'all.
Don't
rolling through
sit
the
on your
punches.
butt and wait.
I'm like,
We have a
do
little bit
not
of technical
sit on
problems.
your
That's
butt
okay.
and
That's how
wait.
it goes sometimes when you're online. Hold on, we're coming on back, y'all viewers. Keep on
Yes.
holding on. Dennis is
Sugar, can you hear us? We're
Dennis is giving.
here.
Okay, Tyler's back. I'm back. Let's see Dennis pop back up to it.
I see Dennis. There we
There
go.
he goes. See, it's about going through the struggles, but I agree. You have to find something creative to do as we
Yes.
go through these struggles together. And that's all right. As long as everybody can hear us, we'll hope the internet likes to come back and react. Hold on. We may pop back up. Let's see.
Wait, are
Tyler's
you?
back. Pop
Yeah, I'm here.
back
We've been
up.
here.
We are back in it. Now, our hot topic for Dennis is new inclusion rules for the Oscars. Okay, so just in case you missed it, for those that's out there, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science announced, which is also, the sponsor of the Oscars, announced new rules for inclusion that is supposed to take full effect in 2025. Now, with all that is going on and every entity trying to take responsibility, back in June, the Academy announced that there'll be some new rules that will be enacted. And these rules specifically apply to the coveted Best Picture Award during the Oscars. So I'm just going to read a little bit so everybody understands. Now, in order to be considered for now granted, right, this is also going to be the opportunity to get more inclusion for people, okay, on the screen as well as behind the screen. But in order to qualify for the Best Picture, you have to have, and you meaning the actual film entity, whether independent or larger house, has to have at least one Asian, Hispanic, Latino, Black, African American, Indigenous, Native American, Alaskan Native, Middle Eastern, North African, Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander or unspecified other underrepresented race or ethnicity as a lead or significant supporting actor. Okay, is the potential new guideline, as well as employing women, LGBTQ plus, members of a racial or ethnic group, and people of cognitive or physical disabilities who are deaf or or hard of hearing, be required at least 30% of actors in secondary or more minor roles having a storyline centered on the unrepresented group. In addition to hiring creative leadership and department heads, maintaining at least 30% crew composition, paid internship, and representation in marketing and distribution. That is a full mouthful. So to everybody in the academy, I know their head have to be exploding. Now it's a lot to take in, right? And these new rules are going to go, because it's so much, will go into effect slowly. So you're going to start seeing these things implemented at the 94th Academy Awards for 2022, and then slowly 2023 for fully in 2024. Now I feel like this is amazing. It's a lot, and the rules also specify that you need to have one of each of these categories. You don't have to have all of them included, but the key word about it being a centralized story of these unrepresented groups means that the stories have to change. So that means if they want this coveted award, they're going to have to dig a little bit deeper and hire individuals that kind of can write and open up these opportunities for us to watch. Which I think is amazing, because people need to see themselves on the screen. That's what directs us as people. We see these things. It allows us to dream. It allows us to believe that can happen. So all of these things are happening in film. Great about that. So I have a two-part question for you first. So let me just say first, what are your thoughts with this whole new rules, whole new list of regulations coming out from the Academy? How do you feel about all this?
Um, I had to do some research because this isn't
A lot.
something that I'm that familiar with. Um, and I did find out that in the last 15 years or 15 years, uh, the best picture actually went at least 10 times, I think, to a movie that fit these requirements.
Mhm.
So whether or not that was not in any way intentional, having something codified in some way at least encourages that's what we want to do. So personally, I applaud the Academy for recognizing the need, but at the same time, there should never have been a need.
I agree. Right.
Um,
Been forced to.
that's the part that that I have difficult with, um, and seasons that would go by with no representation
Mm-hmm.
from anything other than a white guy. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's like, excuse me.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That's just sad. Period.
Mhm.
So that's my gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, beautiful. And I 100% agree with you. You shouldn't have to be forced. But sometimes if things are not, as you said, coded, and now this is a requirement, people don't get it together. With that said, how can you see these, because there are no regulations for us in theater, but how can you see these regulations influencing the theatrical community? Because we have our own problem happening on the stage that, in my opinion and my observation, in the midst of this pandemic, no one is addressing. Because I feel like our entities quiet classified. There's a lot of singing and dancing on the forefront, but there has been no real discussions about what's happening in diversity, or even what we can do moving forward. As an educator yourself, and just your own opinion, how do you see it translating, if it does translate, or just what are your whole thoughts about that?
Well, you and our good friend Melissa Furlet. You know Melissa.
Mhm. Yes, we should have her on the show.
You need
Hello.
yes,
Hello.
Miss Furlet. Come on board.
We're coming for you. We are coming for you.
Um, she also, sort of helped me a lot, and right now, um, how should I say this? It's like
Just say it.
there's no excuse at all now. Um, this should be a wake up call. This entire summer has been a wake up call, um, that calls for more diversity. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Broadway to our local theaters, and we just can't continue with out acknowledging that we have people of color that we need representation. Period.
Period. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's
From
so important.
all shade. It's just okay. We need to step up, and I think theater is the very venue that needs and can
Mm-hmm.
enact this.
Right.
And so I have, and I know Melissa has, we have vowed that this is part of our new way of thinking.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily new,
Mhm.
but it's certainly something that no longer is simply a reminder somewhere in the back that maybe we ought
Mm-hmm.
to consider. It's more like, no, this is up front. This is where
Yeah.
we have to be. Period.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, and Dennis, I just want to piggyback off of you for a second, because I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I think for a long time, for big Hollywood companies and for theater companies, it's been, oh my goodness, we haven't had inclusion. That is so wrong. Let's do Rent. Let's do Hairspray. Let's do Ragtime. Let's do these shows.
Let's throw throw it in and then check it off.
Our company hasn't produced a black show. Google's black
Dream
directors from the top universities. Let's find their film. Let's finance it. Oh, a black movie hasn't won. Let's have Moonlight win this year. You know what I mean? These are things that have happened, and it's no shade on these directors or these pieces. It's not. But what it is one of those things where it's like, look, we're theater people, and we pride ourselves on being progressive. We pride ourselves on being the ones who teach. Yes. Okay. We pride ourselves on being the people who reflect the world that we're living in. And I think we got comfortable somewhere in the midst of all of this. You know, it was like gay marriage became legal and everybody was like, oh, we've been doing good.
We did it. We've been doing good. We've
arrived. Black and white people could be on stage. Gay people could get married. Oh my goodness. We done it all. And then you sit back and you think, you know what I mean? These oppressed people start to speak up. And you're like, oh, wait a second. I'm an artistic director, but man, I have not been very artistic with how I'm showcasing people that don't look like me and that I don't relate to. And in my mind, and I hope I don't get no flack from the black people that's watching this, you know, I love y'all and I'm here for it. But in my mind, but you know, here I am. This is Shuga Says. We keep it real. Mm-hmm. In my mind, I don't blame you for it, but I'm holding you accountable for it right now because it's in the forefront and we're here. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm holding you accountable for it now. And now let's change and let's work on that change together. Let's not work on that change. And I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I know this ain't the topic, but let's not work on that change by announcing a random black person with no credentials to be this position in your company now because you feel the pressure to do that. Right. Let's not do it like that. Let's not do it like that. There's enough of us that's qualified. You know what I mean? Let's do it by one, having a conversation, because none of us can put on theater the way we want to do it right now. So we have a lot of time to talk. So let's talk. And and kudos to the companies that have emailed me that I've worked for that have wanted to talk. You know, let's talk first, and then let's make decisions that will have longevity, not decisions that will get us the Facebook likes right now.
And that's what Tyler has to say about that. I 100% agree, especially with the together point. One thing I will say about Corona, it has given people ample time to sit down and search within themselves about many, many, many things, that there's no distraction. And another thing that Corona has allowed is everyone's on the same level. Like, it's flattened everybody. People might get mad at like, oh, well, these people are living in these mansions. They still can't do what they want to do. They can't travel. And as artists in general, whether you have billions of dollars, you need the audience. You need to create. You need to connect. And none of us are doing it the way we want to.
Come on now. Tony winners are broke right now.
They are, bro. So everybody is struggling, and it's important that we remember together, regardless of our orientation, our skin tone, because especially as artists and storytellers, we want to tell the story and we want to uplift. That's what I hope, and I think that should be our primary focus. Dennis, before we let you go, thank you so much for being such an awesome guest. What final words can you leave with us meaning the theatrical actor community, to keep us encouraged during this time of Corona calamity?
Well, I have to say that I've taken on a new position as executive director for a little community theater in East Tennessee.
Yes, I saw that.
So, Encore Theatrical Company in Morristown, Tennessee. I am here. And we are struggling like any big theater, and we are here to make art for the community, with the community, by the community. So that's part of what I want to say is it's out there. You got to keep creating.
Period.
Hello.
Well, thank you, Dennis, for coming on Sugar
Yes,
Says.
thank
We
you, Dennis.
applaud
Yeah,
you.
I love you.
And
Yes.
where can the people find you to learn more about you on the socials? Give yourself a quick shout out. Where can we find you?
Ah, no, I
The
don't know.
pressure's on.
You can look me up, Dennis Elkins. You
Oh,
see my
Yes,
name,
Dennis Elkins. Look at the name.
and box period, and
Yes.
yeah,
yes.
I'm
Yes.
around.
Wonderful. Well,
Box period Productions is my company.
All right
okay, all
now.
right, come on. So y'all look him up, check him out. He's amazing. And this is just the beginning. We know that more and more things are coming, even in the midst of all these struggles. Dennis,
Mwah, I
will
love
see
you.
you soon. Thanks for
Yes,
Thank
stopping
you.
thank
by.
you,
Bye.
Dennis.
Mwah. Take
Yes, that's what we love. We all about
Oh,
information
yes.
and uplifting here at Sugar Says we plays no games. As you know, Tyler always keeps it real and lets you know. And this is
Had
what we
to.
come on Sugar Says for. And if you have enjoyed watching today's show, don't forget to tune in every Friday at 7:10 p.m. where we chop it up and talk about all of the deets happening in theater and film and all our hot topics. And Tyler, whatever he has to tell us, which is always plenty, and I love it. Now, moving on quickly to just in case you missed it, entertainment report. All right, there's a few little things. Just in case you missed it, the MCC miscast the annual gala 2020 will now be virtual because of, yes, you guessed it, Corona. But that's okay. You will get all your Broadway kicks when you tune in on September 13th, which is on Sunday, on the MCC's YouTube channel. Okay, and it starts at 8 p.m. and it will be featuring Hairspray, the Broadway musical. So some of the original cast members will be on there, giving us all of the lovely joys and jubilation. And you will see some of the faces we love to see and hear them. Joshua Henry, Heather Headley,
Yes.
Adrian Warren, and others. So
Hmm.
that sounds amazing. Even though the theater doors are closed, thank God that we have the internet. So don't forget to tune in and see that. I will be tuning in, Tyler. Would you be peeking in and seeing what's going
Oh,
on
I'm
there?
gonna be up in there. Okay.
Yes,
I can't wait. They
must.
had me at Adrian Warren and kept me at Heather Headley. And then I
Yes,
came back for seconds when I knew Leslie
must.
Odom Jr. would be there. Okay.
Oh my God. Amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. Next up, and just in case you missed it, the Blackish spinoff Oldish is coming to
Okay.
us in 2021. Now, you know, Kenya Barris, okay, the creator of Blackish, did say that more things were coming out of the Blackish universe. And here he comes with Oldish, and this will be featuring Jennifer Lewis and Lawrence Fishburne. So already saying the two of them, you know it's going to be funny. Now, Oldish follows Ruby and Earl. That's Jennifer Lewis, as she's Ruby, and Earl is, of course, Lawrence Fishburne, as they move to a newly gentrified neighborhood as they seek on rekindling their marriage and all of the new faces they meet, new and old, on their journey to marital bliss. Now, if y'all know Jennifer Lewis, you know nothing gonna be easy with her on the Blackish. And Lawrence Fishburne, I mean, you're gonna get good acting and a little bit of slide comments. I'm excited about that. This is the third spinoff from one show, which does not typically happen. So Blackish has given us Grownish, which is on ABC's Freeform. We have Mixed-ish that is moving into its third season on ABC. And now we
Wow.
have Oldish that will be premiering to us next year. That is amazing. Kudos to Kenya Barris and people. And I just know it's just going to be amazing. Tyler, your thoughts about Oldish coming to us?
Look, I think Oldish is about to be a hit. Okay. Because look, I can't think of a show where we have, I don't even want to say old, but experienced Black folk living their best lives in their
Yes.
most experienced years. Because I'm so old, okay? I don't know who watching, and I'm not trying to get, a whooping. So
Right.
I'm going to say experience. And I am so here for it. And I think it's going to be this comedic gold that people
Yes.
haven't seen on TV, I
I
want to
agree.
say yet. So I'm very
Or
excited.
in years, like for
Oh, in
years. I
years.
think
Yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah.
in years.
But like,
So I'm
I'm thinking how
excited.
brilliant Mumford and Sons was. You
Hmm.
know?
Like back in them days, I feel the exact
Yes.
same way. I mean, Jennifer Lewis and Lawrence Fishburne at the
Oh,
helm.
yes.
The comedy is going to be crazy, and I'm looking
Hmm.
forward to whoever the special guests are going to be. That is going to be great.
Yes.
I am laughing already. So kudos to that, and I'm excited to that. Other things I'm excited about. This is for the old school people that may be familiar. Doogie Howser MD remix with a female lead on Disney Plus. Now, a little bit of information for those that may not know Doogie Howser, which is fine. You can just click and find it up on YouTube or in Google. But this show was on for 4 seasons on ABC from 1989 to 1993, so it's a throwback. However, it became like a cult classic part of pop culture because it was just such an interesting concept. It was led by Neil Patrick Harris, who I love, and he was the young doctor that well, yeah, he was the young teenager that was a doctor in the show. And it did very well, as I said. And now Disney Plus has picked it up for 10 episodes. And the twist is, of course, it's going to be female led. And it is going to be a mixed race 16-year-old juggling her budding medical career and life as a teenager in Hawaii. So that is interesting. And it's written by Courtney Kang, and she's one of the writers of Fresh Off the Boat that was on ABC. So I think it's just going to be dynamic as we talk about changes happening in the industry. I'm looking forward to see what it will be like. I'm like, who's the casting? Will The Rock co-star? Because he comes from like Hawaii and stuff like that. So I mean, it
Hmm.
could really be anything. And I mean, really and truly, and I know you love some Disney, with Disney at the helm, they're about to do everything. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? And they
yes.
have been holding themselves accountable for being inclusive and for
Hmm.
doing things that are culturally appropriate to the best of their ability, because we like to call them out too. But they
Hmm.
try their best to stay as responsible and making connections. Come on, Lin Manuel Miranda, Beyonce. So they're
Hmm.
all about making connections, and most recently, Colin Kaepernick. So they're not playing games in these streets. Any thoughts about Doogie Howser?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the original. I know that that was Neil Patrick Harris's start. That was his
It
debut.
was.
And you know what?
Yes.
I'm just here for Disney bringing it back. We have these streaming platforms. There's less pressure on them than it is to like debut something on major network.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that they're taking these risks, but I know that this is going to not only give some sort of nostalgia for the old audiences who's already know this, but also new audience members and new fans who will come into the show. And I,
Yes.
I just I just live for that kind of stuff. It's like I lived
Yes.
for when they did like the Girl Meets World,
Yes.
that little
Yes. Yes.
revival, and the Saved by the Bell
Mm-hmm.
revival that's coming up soon. I
Yes,
love that kind of stuff.
yes,
I love it.
yes. And for
Mm-hmm.
sure, like you said, you have a secure audience that's familiar.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna come off just off GP because they're like, oh, I remember that. Let me see what it looks
Yep.
like. So I don't have my Disney Plus subscription as of yet, but I may have to tune in because I'm curious to see how this is all going to go. And again, that
Yes.
comes to us in 2021. Speaking about other magical things that are happening, on Thursday, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air celebrated its 30th anniversary. 30 years ago, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air came to us, if you can imagine, and it is marvelous that we can still enjoy it because it is on syndication. It will be coming, there will be a reunion on HBO Max, and that comes to us this later this year. And as Tyler talked about, subscription based, HBO Max is not for free. You do have to subscribe, but I mean, it's the Fresh Prince of Bel Air reunion, so that's exciting. And the cast put up a picture. Will Smith put it up on his Instagram, and underneath the cast with all the members, there was a rest in peace to Uncle Phil, right? And that was the actor, let's see, James Avery, who passed away in 2013. And we all miss Uncle Phil. But what was amazing about this 30th year celebration was that he finally was able to sit down with Aunt Viv and that is actress Janet Hubert. There has been feud. I don't know if he's been feuding with her, but there have been like bad blood for the past 27 years. Every time she had an interview, she'd be like, I feel like, so finally, after all this time, they sat down together and talked about all of these ill feelings. And I think that's amazing. See, there it go. Corona and quarantine, letting people search within themselves on the things that really, really matter. And there was a picture up on his socials about that too. So that is amazing. And after 27 years, you gotta heal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can only be angry for so long, but 27 years, that's a lot of anger. But I'm glad they had some time to sit and talk. Your thoughts about this here reunion going down?
Yes. Well, first of all, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is something I used to watch every night in my adolescence.
Yes.
It would be Full House and then Fresh Prince, and I'd just be on it. Okay, I love the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I think that it's so important that this happened, this healing happened. And I'm loving the amount of healing that I'm seeing within the Black community as of late because of the quarantine. All of these opportunities. I mean, we just saw last week Brandy and Monica ending that terrible feud. I mean, Nicki and Cardi like to act like their feud is all that, but that Brandy Monica, okay, that Brandy Monica feud, that was a feud, okay. So for them to come together and then to see this unity, I love it. So I'm very excited. This is going to be great for the culture.
It is for the culture. And speaking of for the culture, we're going to talk about the versus battle that will be coming up next to us on Sunday.
Right.
But before I get into all that, we're going to have to introduce our next guest
who's going to talk
to us about how she feels about this upcoming battle. Now, this lovely lady, I was introduced by my good friend Keith Patrick McCoy. You know Keith over there, Tyler, right?
Oh, yes.
And he introduced me to her, and I haven't even met her in person. As a matter of fact, we've been talking to each other on the phone and through Facebook, but because she's so dynamic, I feel her energy radiate to me, and she's all about talking about helping the community. She's always about supporting artists, passing on information. She's always uplifting me. She's always like, girl, this is what's going down, this, that, and the third. I'm like, thank you. Because we all have to help each other. So without further ado, to all my viewers, clap it up for Miss Illeana Kirven on Shuga
Hello.
What an intro.
All right now.
I have to let them know that you are amazing indeed.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm here in Texas, and it's not so hot today, or it wasn't so hot today. And
good.
Just chilling out, staying well, staying away from everybody. And so I'm good. Yeah, right? Yeah.
Please do. So how have you been through all of Miss Rona's rampage on our theater community?
Oh my gosh. It's just been it's really been tough. I was in my year actually started off crazy to begin with. I was an emergency replacement in a 2-person show called Marie and Rosetta in Florida. And so I went in super excited to just do it, and learned it in about a week, and with earpiece and ear, trying to get it. Because, 2 people.
The Broadway.
It's like 80
the Broadway way.
Pages. Exactly. Like you're learning this quickly. But wonderful company, wonderful people, wonderful, co-stars. So all of that was great. And then that show actually transferred to another theater where it would run. And at the second theater, we got shut down a week early due to COVID-19. So that was really, it was hard. I mean, we were like, we kind of knew it was coming. Everything was shutting down. Broadway had already shut down. Everything. Starbucks was shut down. Starbucks shuts down. You're shutting down. Just forget about it. That. If you can't get that coffee, it's over. So
Okay.
It's over. So we kind of knew it was coming anyway, but no idea of the impact and how long it was going to be, and how how hard it has hit our community. I tell you, it has made me realize that there's nothing that I love more than performing.
Oh, love
I
that.
miss it. Yeah, I miss it so much. I'd almost do it for free if I. But when this
Ah,
is done, I will not be able to afford to do anything for free. You know.
Okay. Okay.
But
we are with
if
you.
I
We know
could, I would.
The
exactly. Yes.
coin. The coin.
Let's get the coins.
Okay.
Must.
Please, yes,
Yes.
please. Yeah, but but I just, I always knew that I loved it, but sometimes you have to be not be able to have what you love to realize how much you love it. So
Right.
Mm.
just not being able to tell those stories, and just because this year it was last year was great, and then I didn't think anything could beat last year. I was doing Carolina Change, I was in Kansas City, and I was in St. Louis, I was doing Avenue Q, I was in Missouri like most of all of last year, and then in Virginia. I was kind of just everywhere and like bam, bam, bam with my work, and I loved it. And then this year I was like, well, I can go slow at the beginning of the year, and then by January 14th I was already working and had that contract was going to lead me to three other contracts, which have now all
Mm,
been
Mm.
canceled. So
mm.
even the contract I had into next year
Mm.
has been canceled.
Oh,
But so that saddens me more, not so much because I am losing the work, even though that does break my heart. But it really hurts me to know that the theater, at this point, the one that I was going to have last year, and I love this company so much, is that they are going to have to change the capacity in which they will be able to bring theater. They're going
mm.
to bring
Mm.
it, but they're not going to be able to bring it in the way that they were, and
Mm.
so thus they changed the contract. But they love me, thank the Lord, and I love
Good.
them, and so they kind of make me their family, and so we'll find other ways to work together, which again, blessings. I count them all. Um, but it does, just hurt to
Mm.
hear that, some theaters are not gonna be able to come back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Um,
it is
yeah,
rough. With
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everything, how have you been keeping
yeah.
yourself motivated and creative through this harsh time?
Well, I got my guitar over here, which I've
All
been trying to
right.
learn.
Yes.
I've been trying to make myself. Okay, so Marie and Rosetta, Sister Rosetta Thorpe. You guys
Yes, I
are
learned
familiar?
about
Okay,
Sister Rosetta
so
Thorne.
she was a beast on that guitar. So
Yes,
I
she was.
actually
Unique
never
voice too.
submitted. Exactly. Her range is like ridiculous. So I
Crazy.
never submitted for the role because I was like, I don't play guitar. I don't know. I have all these friends that for years and years and years that were like, Illeana, let me teach you guitar. Nah, I'm never gonna use. I'm never gonna use that. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? Oh my God. And so now they're all like, we told you, let us teach you. I was like, yeah, I really should have listened to you. So
Yes.
so now when I learned it, I had to quickly learn how to fake it, like to fake it like you would not believe, like the meanest guitar air guitar you've ever seen. And so it's like,
Okay.
okay, I'm doing, and people actually say, oh my God, you play so well. I'm like,
You are an actor.
well, yes, I
Yeah.
do.
Well, thank you
But
very much.
exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to that man that recorded all that music to make for me. But it has made me, it made me want to learn. So, and yes, guitar is not the easiest thing. So I did buy a guitar when I was in Florida. I started learning it. I always played keyboard. I brushed up on my keyboard. I've taken Zoom class. I didn't even know what Zoom was. I don't think. I think I may have Zoomed like once in my life before this year. I have something on Zoom, sometimes twice a day. Sometimes I have more than one Zoom at a time. I'm like, how did I schedule a double Zoom? Like, what in the world? And and
It
you can't
happens.
focus. I can't focus on
Right.
all of it. But I try to take all of those classes. I mean, I master
Oh.
class at a university through Zoom,
Mm.
and the subject actually was after what can these are students a lot of these students are going to be graduating. Everybody has the hopes of graduating, going off to New York and having this career, and right now, who knows, right now, like a lot of them were going to, I think, even start school and go, or have already graduated, may start school in we're supposed to go to like school in New York in September,
Mhm.
and now that's not, it's just not feasible for them, and they're not,
Mhm.
their families aren't thinking it's safe, and so things have changed. But I was telling them, there's still regional theater work that is happening, like if you want to see about it. And so I just taught them some of the things about how to find work if you're not in New York. I mean, I lived in New York for years, and I was pretty good at finding it there. But before I was in New York, I was a gypsy, and
Yes.
when my mother became sick and I moved back home to Texas, because I'm also her caretaker, I retired from theater for 2 years. And then when an old producer called me and said, "Hey, can you do this show?" And I'm like, "Hey, well, yes, I can." And so I then became a gypsy again and reconnected with a lot of the theaters that I had worked with, before I had my years in New York. Not now, I miss New York, and I hope to, someday get back to that. But meanwhile, it's not the only option for theater, and I think it's good for people to know that there is other work out there, and if you can find it where you're comfortable and think that you can do it safely, that's the biggest thing for me. I was like, I can't take anything where I don't feel like I'm safe, and that I don't think my coworkers are safe, and the environment is not safe. So that's that happened. I taught that workshop a couple of months ago, and so I hope it really helped those kids, because they weren't expecting this.
Yes.
And we all need it.
We were all shook.
Nobody. Yeah.
Now, Illeana, I have a question for you, and it's kind of a fun question, kind of our funnest question of the night. I want you to name, I know most people say one, but I want you to name 2 roles that you've played that have impacted your entire career. You know those roles that you play and you're like, ooh, that was that bread and that butter.
Yeah.
And I know you got 2 because your resume is like. I know you got at least 2 up in there.
I do. Okay. I may have to give you more than 2.
All right.
Okay.
Now.
So when I, first started out, we talk about the roles that are available for Black people. And I got in I was doing more dance at this time, and so I did Showboat, but I was I was a dancer in it, and not just in the black chorus, but not, I wasn't Queenie. I've done Queenie plenty of times now. Queenie was never, even though I think she's incredibly important to the story, that was not a role that I looked at myself and say, oh, I have to do that role, only because I already know that people will look at me and say, oh, she'd be great for that role. So I've always kind of been like, what can I want to step out. Like, even when I was in school, I was like, I wanted to not be, what is it called? Stereotyped.
Yeah.
Right.
Stereotyped all the time. Like, people look at you walk in the door and they're like, oh my God, I was like, I haven't even sang yet. You don't even know. You don't know what that I dance and that I choreograph and that I can do. So anyway, so when I did that show, I got to see other shows and work with other people that were already like in New York and doing things that I personally hadn't even stepped outside to think that I would have an opportunity to do. And so then I started researching, like, what are the shows that are just not so stereotypical that I could do? And I really fell in love with Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Oh,
and then I worked in the theater. Yeah,
that's one of your favorites, Ty.
That's one of my favorites. Oh, I love that show so much.
I love it. I love it. So I worked at a theater in Tennessee, and they were doing it, and then I wanted to be the narrator, and they said, we want you to be Asher, which is one of the brothers, which I love, doing that, because again, I'm a female playing a boy, which was amazing. And I also, the way the director, like, her vision of it was totally different from anything that was on Broadway. Like, it just wasn't the typical that you've seen with Joseph, and she really took it on its own journey, and I love that. So then it skipped a year, and then the next year they did it again, and she's like, we want you to be the narrator. And I was like, the hills are alive.
Hello. All right.
We've arrived.
I was like, oh my God. So I got to do that, and it was, again, amazing. She made it magic. Like, I had like things in my hair that looked like a halo, and things were just, it was like amazing. So that was one that I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, I knew that I could sing this, but I didn't realize that I could sing this. We had some shows that were 9 a.m. because we would do children's shows, and that show, it's so short, so you can do the whole show with no intermission if you wanted to. And we would do, sometimes 2 of them back to back, like 9 to 10:30, and then bring in other kids, and we'd get like a 15-minute break, and then again, and have those kids back to school by lunch, and then do that show at night. So sometimes I was doing that show a lot, and I was like, okay, this is what I don't talk. You educate yourself also on your vocal health when you have to do those type of things, which I did, because I was like, yeah, I think I better shut my face right now because my voice is exhausted. So that happened. But the next one, I did a lot of Ain't Misbehaving, a lot. Ooh. Again, that's one that I know I will do the rest of my life. And I love that show, and I love telling the story, Fats Waller's music. But at the same time, even though it means a lot to me in my heart, it's not one that I feel like I need to keep doing. Like if I have it on my resume, I've done it like 10 times. I have it on my resume at least 4 of those 10 times. So you know what I mean? Like I don't have, but if anybody's doing it, hey, I want you to call me. Don't not call me, because I need on that show.
Need the points.
Exactly. But I was in New York, and I was the merchandise manager for the original Broadway production of Carolina Change.
Ooh.
And so I would watch that show every single time. I would go up into the balcony, because the balcony was often empty. And I'm like, where are these people? Do they not know what they're missing? And I would sit up there in the balcony, and I would look into the pit, and I would watch the band a lot of times, because the band was amazing. And like, people don't, the orchestra, a lot of times people don't realize how incredible, and just watching them, and were so interactive. And then sometimes I'd watch the band, and sometimes I'd watch the actors. But I love that show, and being able to see it every night. Then when I went off to do a show out of town, it was auditioning in Memphis, and I was like, I have, understand, I really have to do this show. And I called the theater, and I said, hey, I really want to do it. I was coming for UPTAs, which you guys know, Unified Professional Theater Auditions. I was like, is it going to be cast before that? And they said yes. I said, okay, I'm buying my flight. I'm coming down to your audition. And I booked it same day. And I was like, yeah, because when it's yours, it's yours. Like I always said it, like if I don't get something, right? Like when I always say, like if it's a role that's supposed to be my role, first of all, I'm gonna work my butt off because I want it, and I'm gonna want it more than anybody else is gonna want it. And when I walk in that door, they're gonna know that that's my role, and I was meant for. I won't put myself into a role that I don't think I'm right for, though. At the same time, like but. Yeah. Every now and again, I'm like, I can't tell by a listing that it's something that I am not right for, and I might go in and be like, this isn't what the listing said you were looking for. I don't think I'm really right for it, but I'm an audition anyway. I'm here. But so Carolina Change would be my second, and then the Sister Rosetta that I just did, that I had no idea. I knew who she was. I did not know the depth of her story, and I don't know if you guys know about her.
I learned about her when I learned about Big Mama Thornton, and I was researching songs for my own shows. That's when I learned about her. Ty, if you have not learned about Sister Rosetta,
I'm like, let me go get educated.
Okay. For those that's watching that don't know about Sister Rosetta, you need to go and go. She was a beast back in there, and that's amazing. I saw you playing her. I'm like, that's dynamic, because most people don't know her story.
They don't know.
Like how Queen Latifah brought Bessie Smith to the screen. She's a type of situation like that. So if y'all don't know her, go on out and learn about Sister Rosetta. I will say you are such a dynamic force, navigating the theatrical scope, flying out to theaters, taking on shows that is in your heart. What has been the most, because you have such a dynamic experience, what has been the most challenging aspect for you during this time of Corona?
Just not being in the mix of it. It's just hard. I mean, I've always looked on, the Equity website, Playbill, Broadway World, Backstage. I mean, I have a thing before I'm even out of bed, I'm searching to see what's new. And to look on there and see nothing posting, like there's no auditions happening. Like a little bit more is happening now, but back in late April and May, and I would look and I'd be like, are you kidding? Like I would look at the date, and the last thing posted would have been like March 30th, and I I would wake up every morning going, oh gosh, what's new? What's new? Who's doing what? What can I submit for? What can I audition for? When is it due in? And so to look and see that made me feel for a while. I was like, oh, is there going to be hope? I mean, are we going to come back? I mean, don't they need to get ready for next year? I mean, what's happening next year? You know what I mean? Like that really kind of soured my spirit, to be able to see that there was no work, and then the work that was there might not be something that might be interested in. However, what I have been trying to do is find other outlets, and so I have luckily, and I'm blessed to have a friend that's a voiceover professional for years, like 30, 40 years. And she was like, have you ever thought about it? Which I had. And so I've been getting some instructions on voiceovers, getting ready to make the voiceover reel, and just kind of step foot in that world, which is something I actually have always wanted to do anyway. And I was always just so engulfed in theater, but now is a great time for me to learn and go ahead and build my studio and get, all that stuff going with that. So it's negative and positive, but I'm going to keep it on the positive side because I think that's just important. You just can't stay down,
Yeah.
It's true, especially as storytellers. Yes.
You know how you've seen a lot of, like, when you're watching Law and Order SVU, you see a lot of actors on it who were on there before they made their debut on Broadway. I feel like we're going to see that with these little cartoons that's coming up. It's going to be like, wait a second, I know this voice. They secured the bag during quarantine and did this little voiceover because it's everywhere. I mean, it's amazing. And it's something, I think about the blessings of coronavirus a lot. And the blessing is for the true artist, and I'm not saying anybody who hasn't found this yet is not a true artist. It's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But for the true artist, your artistry doesn't stop.
Right.
No.
Okay. I think Billy Porter said it. He said, look, you got to be happy performing by yourself to your couch in your living room before you can be happy being in the Emmy Award winning show. Okay,
exactly.
You got to be happy performing from your couch first, and that's the definition of a true artist. So these true artists who are out there, they're not sitting at home feeling bad for themselves. They are doing it because truly they needed to survive, not just for money, but for their soul.
Exactly.
And I respect you for that. I am here for that, sis.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, yes.
It's all about uplifting, and I agree with him. Just because the show doors are closed doesn't mean the show stopped. We're keeping the show going.
All right.
And I'm 100% in that. Now, in the spirit of showmanship, do you have a little song to give to us today?
I do. It's a little, you may not know it. It's actually one of my favorite songs. I'm just going to do a little bit of it. But it's actually from the movie Norma Ray. You remember that movie starring Sally Field way back 70s?
Was she nominated for that?
She was. She played, I forget the actor's name. I mean, it was based on, a true story, but it was about developing a union because these warehouse plant workers were not treated fairly. And so it was all about, building this union, and they were, blue collar workers trying to be lifted up and poor and trying to be uplifted and fighting against, the company that did not want the union, and then some of the employees, of course, that did not want the union. So it's called Goes Like It Goes Like It Goes. I'm just going to do a little.
Okay.
So it goes, like the river flows. In time it rolls right on. And maybe what's good gets a little bit better, and maybe what's bad gets gone. So it goes, like the river flows, and time it rolls right on. And maybe what's good And maybe what's bad gets gone.
Yeah.
Giving us that vibrato. Ooh, it's been a while since I heard some good vibrato, that good support, that control.
Great. Give it up some soul.
All right,
No wonder
now.
you're playing Sister Rosetta with
Look.
that is fantastic. Ooh,
Thank
yes.
you.
I love it. See, this is what we've been missing, and this is what we tune into Shuga Says for. Again, the show doors may be closed, but with a voice like that, come on now. I love it.
Thank you,
Now,
thank
your
you.
hot topic, speaking of voices,
All right.
on Sunday, y'all, Timbaland and Swiss Beat, the dynamic duo, are giving us yet another amazing verses. And this time, y'all, it is going to be Patti LaBelle and Gladys
Lordy.
I'm just about to lose my mind. I don't even know what to say about this. It is so exciting that they were able to get these two legends. And after listening to your legendary voice, I'm like, yes, open the door for more soul singing. I love Patti LaBelle, and I know she's getting up in age, but I love her. And I was like, y'all will know when the Lord decides to take Patti away, because I will do a full countrywide roll. I'm just going to throw myself into the streets and just roll and keep on rolling, because I'll be so devastated about Patti. I'm Gladys, I love her too, but Patti has deep heart. She's in my heart. I love you, Patti. So I'll be watching y'all, and y'all must be tuning in. But the question I have for the both of y'all is, and Illeana, I will start with you. Tell me your two favorite tracks from Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight.
Oh Lord, Patti LaBelle, If Only You Knew. Oh, so good when she gets up in that in the end of oh my Lord.
Yeah, I'm nerdy. I'm
just,
geeked out on success. Yes.
And oh my gosh, and Gladys, Neither One of Us.
Ooh, neither one of us. Hey, want the beat of
yeah.
Oh my God,
those put me in the place. Those are the throwbacks. That's when your grandpa was taking you to the barber shop. And he had the oldie station on. Yes. Oh yes. And you were just young, and you were like, ooh.
What is that music?
What am I feeling?
Oh my gosh, that's music. You did. Ty, what are your favorites from Patti and Gladys?
Okay, so from Gladys, it has to be Midnight Train. Okay.
Yes.
The Midnight Train. That was one of my first ones. I was like, oh, okay now. And for Patti, I'm gonna bring it out there because I know it's gonna shut the house down. Lady Marmalade. Okay. Being from New Orleans. Okay. that is true. That is the song. That is the bop. But look, I also go back a lot. Okay. And my voice teacher in college is the one who showed me this video. Patti LaBelle was singing the national anthem one time at an NFL game, and she started a little bit too high. So she had to give us a full soulful rendition. She had no choice. She was like, only way I'm going to hit these notes is if I give you full church, full soul. When I tell you, my voice teacher, we would start our voice lessons, and he'd play that for me, and he's like, a legend. And I love it. So I know it won't make an appearance, but I just love me some Patti LaBelle. What a character. I love her so much.
I love her. She is amazing. Y'all make sure you tune in. They're about to blow our head off with these dynamicness. Oh, I'm just having chills already. Patti and Gladys. And for y'all, tune into Versus. That is on Instagram. And that'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I can't tell you all the other time zones, but if you go on to Instagram, it'll be listed up there. And I can't wait for Patti. Illeana, before we let you go, you've been so amazing. Thank you so much for blessing us with your voice again. One final words can you leave with us to help us through these rough and tough times of Corona?
of Corona.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. I think something that I would say for everybody is just to try to find ways to stay positive. Surround yourself with as much as you can, 6 feet apart, or
Mhm.
cyberly with people who are who are positive and who are caring and who can help nurture you if you feel that you are needing um, encouragement or uplifting. I know, especially in the arts community, with people not working, a lot of people are feeling, in general, people are feeling depression. But I know in the arts community in particular, people are feeling um, hit harder because arts, if to a lot of people, is therapy, and
Mhm.
it is a way to nurture yourself. And I think you have to just take that time out to yourself for yourself to, if you need to meditate, if you need to close your eyes and hum a tune, whatever you need to do for your mental health and for your physical health. Get some sunshine if you can. Hug yourself if there's nobody else to do it, and just
Mhm.
remember that you are loved. That this will not last forever, and we will all get through this together.
Amen. I support
Mhm.
that.
Oh,
Ty,
thank
any
you.
final words, real quick, for us?
I just want to say to everybody, open your heart to the blessings that this time can give you. Do not close yourself off. This is a different time. Be easier on yourself. Secure your bag. Okay? Secure your
Mm,
bag. Do not depend on the government to give you that money. Okay? They should give it to you because we're all struggling, but don't depend on them.
that's
Okay? You go
right.
secure that
That's
bag
right.
for yourself. And
Yes.
above all things, be easy on yourself, but don't feel bad to yourself. I mean, don't feel bad about yourself because let me tell you, you are a child of God. These blessings are here for
Yes.
you. Receive them. Don't fight them. Receive them. That's my message
Yes.
this week.
Hey, and
Amen.
my final words are wear your mask, and wear your mask. Don't
Hey,
forget
Yes.
to register to vote.
all
Secure your
right.
bag,
Yes.
and through everything, see the positive as echoed by my fellow artistic colleagues. We ran a little bit over today, but it didn't matter because we were jamming and having a good
Oh,
time on
yes.
this here
Yes.
Friday. So if you did enjoy it, don't forget to tune in every Friday live here on Facebook, also on YouTube. We are there. We are smiling. We are laughing, and we are spreading joy and jubilation. So y'all be safe. Don't forget to watch Patty and
All
Gladys on
right
Sunday.
now.
Woo! I can't wait to hear what people have to say about
Ah,
Oh my
we're going to be up
gosh.
all night.
we will
Oh.
be so amazing.
Yeah.
And we will see you soon. Thank you again to Illeana and Dennis for being our guests on this
Yes.
week's show. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Yes.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.